Hey guys, how you doing today? So, I've come across something kind of interesting yesterday when I was surfing around on the internet, and I was actually on Amazon, and I come across this. And if you don't know what these are vent deflectors that I designed and made available for free on Thingiverse. The 3D files required to download and 3D print these. And these are for a 2014 to 2018 Silverado or Sierra. And what it is you can see here in the picture that he stole off of my YouTube channel that there's a vent underneath the seat that just blows straight across the floor. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit more about what these actually fix. But whenever I was looking at this Amazon page and I'm reading them, like, man, this guy, I guess he just steals people's 3D models off of Thingiverse and then he sells them here on Amazon with zero credit to who originally, came up with the idea or whose these actually are. Now, with that said, I did make these available for free. So let me kind of give you the backstory on this. Back in 2019, I bought a 2016 GMC Sierra. I was on a couple forums and they were complaining of these vents right here that's under the seats of blowing the air straight across the floor instead of up toward the rear passengers. So I got thinking about it and thought, maybe I can design something that will help that will slide on and help, bring that air up toward the passengers. And I'm going to play a little bit of this video so you'll understand what these things actually do. But you got you got this vent and one under the passenger seat. This one here is under the driver's. And that carpet, for one, kind of covers them up. And that happens on almost every one of them. Well, this little vent, what I call a vent deflector, you slide it on and it actually deflects the air upward toward the passenger, toward the rear passengers, rather. And I posted them on a couple truck forums, SilveradoSierra.com and GMTrucks.com in their forums. I put the links so that they could go over, download the files if they had 3D printers or had buddies with 3D printers. Never did I ever intend on ever printing any of these for anybody else. I ended up doing that because I got a lot of emails from people saying that they didn't have 3D printers or knew anybody that did, and if I would mind printing them up a pair. So I was doing that, and I was charging $25, and I probably did about 200 pairs, maybe 250 pair of these vent deflectors. Sometimes it was about a 6-hour print for the pair of them. And my 3D printer was going 24/7, many, many days. So whenever I come across that Amazon ad, I don't know, it kind of disturbed me that the guy's just stealing people's products. Well, I started doing a little bit of looking around, and here's some Chinese company right here on Amazon that's selling you can tell that they've modified it a little bit, but the front of it right here looks almost identical. They put a little grill in the front of it, which is there's no real reason for that, but makes it look good. And they're obviously able to sell them a lot cheaper. These are probably molded in a machine, which is great. They probably can fork those out one right after the other. But that's beside the point. But if you read right here, their terminology, they've taken it took me a while to figure out what I was going to call mine. I wasn't sure. I tried to think up, what do you even call something like this? And I eventually come up with vent deflector. And that was just kind of, I was tired of thinking about it. I was like, I'm just going to call them vent deflector and I'm done with it. Well, they even took that terminology. But the funniest part to me right here, where it says, if you read right here, the air outlet of this deflector is custom designed for the It's custom designed, all right, but not by them. And I'm going to get into the designing of this here in just a minute whenever I get over to Fusion. And it's not that I'm really that upset. It's just that I think it's disrespectful whenever companies like that will take someone's design and literally not give them 1 ounce of credit of where that design even came from. So, like I say, in 2020, now these fit everything from a 2014 to a 2018. Some people say they'll fit a 2019, but I don't think they do. There was no vent deflectors on the market. I looked. All the people that owned these trucks had looked. They was trying to come up with solutions to get that air up to the passengers in the rear. And that was the very first design of anything that would do that. And it wasn't until today, quite a few years later, that I come across multiple companies now selling that exact design. Now, let me show you this. This is my Thingiverse site, page, whatever you want to call it. This is where I've got multiple 3D models that I've come up with. I upload them to Thingiverse for free so other people can download them and use them. Here's some leg extensions for the Atzer laser printer, free download. A little organizer for thread checkers. There's a knob for a car, leg extensions for the atom stack laser. And here's my here's my vent deflectors. And you can see there's the vent, there's the carpet kind of covering it up, and that vent deflector, when it's slid on, it prevents that carpet from covering up the vent, and it deflects the air up. So if you need any of these, go over here to Thingiverse, download the files for free. There's multiple online 3D printing services that you can actually just send the files to, and they'll 3D print them, and then they'll ship the product to you. Now, I don't know what they cost. I've never used one of those services, but that's one way you could, if you don't have a 3D printer or know anybody that does, that's one way you could actually get anything that you have. As far, if you have an STL file that you want 3D printed, then you can do that. You have that option. So let's get that out of the way. I'm just going to kind of walk you through the timeline and the process that I took to come up with that actual design. Now, I'll be honest, it didn't take me a whole, I spent, I think, a couple days, maybe 1 or 2 hours a day for 2 or 3 days before I finally come up with the final design. I'll show you the original design, if I can find it. Okay, right here on 5/16 of 2020. This was the very first design that I come up with. This is a 45-degree angle. You can see the whole nose is pointed upward at 45 degrees. And, I just thought that'd probably be the way to go. So I printed one off, and it worked. The problem with it was if the seat was all the way back or almost all the way back, this 45-degree angle caused the air to hit the bottom of the seat. So it blocked it from hitting the passengers. So I thought, okay, well, at the very least, I'm going to have to reduce this angle less than 45 degrees. Now, another thing I didn't really care for on this design was the top of this nose pointing up like that also. And the reason is because if you store anything underneath your seat, or there's also wires attached to the bottom of the seat that whenever you move the seat back and forth, I was afraid things would hit this nose right here and actually knock the vent deflector off. So went back to the drawing board. This was the second concept. Now I shortened the upper part here up a little bit. I reduced the angle. I think this is a 40-degree angle, if I remember right. And it too kind of had the same problem. 40 degrees, it still was just a little bit too steep to where if the seat was all the way back, most of the air was hitting the bottom of the seat. And I still had the issue with this little nose pointing up and things possibly hitting this and then eventually pushing that off of the vent. So back to the drawing board. This was the final. This was May 18th, 2020. And this is what I finally come up with. And so I fixed the top. I finally decided I just wanted to make it completely flat. That way, if things was rubbing across the top of it, it wasn't going to catch on it and eventually knock it off. And this angle right here is 36 degrees. And I finally settled on that angle as being the perfect angle to where if the seat was all the way back, whether it's all the way forward or all the way back, that was the perfect angle to where the air is still going to miss the seat, but be pointed upward as much as it could be to make it to the rear passengers. So, and this worked out perfect. I mean, I actually put little streamers down hanging off the back of the seat to see how the air was flowing. And whenever I was happy with this design, I called it the final design, embossed my little name and the name of the vent deflector on there. And I kind of did that because I knew that there would probably be people out there that would actually try to claim this as their product. And I've actually caught people to where they actually took the 3D model that I offered for free, which maybe I shouldn't have done that in hindsight, but I put it up for free. They took the model, they opened it up, and they took the embossing off of it, and then they started printing them off as though they were their own. Now, I caught those guys a couple years ago and emailed them, and I'm sure they didn't stop, but they at least took that particular ad down that they had on Etsy. Probably just changed their name or whatever. Now I see that there's people on Amazon that has done the same thing. So, it's not that big of a deal. I never intended to make $1 off these. I put them up for free for people to download to fix a problem in their trucks. It just kind of bothers me whenever people take credit for something that's not their, that they shouldn't rightfully be taking credit for. Now, that's the only issue I really have. They can make all the money off of it they want. I don't really care, but to take credit for something that's not theirs, I've kind of got issues with that. I would never do that. I would never take credit for something that I wasn't directly involved with. Anyway, that's kind of the timeline of the how the vent deflector came about. And now, not only are the Chinese, but people, just here in America have taken my design and selling them across all different platforms. Anyway, just wanted to give you the quick little history and the issue that I come across yesterday when I was surfing the internet. That's all I got. You guys take care. We'll see you.